Testing, testing. I'll use it back on. Hello, 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 hello. We're good, we're good. Okay. Let me test my, okay, perfect. Perfect, okay. Yeah, so welcome everybody. The couple minutes late, well, not a couple, but I realized I was testing out my tablet, and the pen wasn't working, and I was like what's going on? Like, why is it not? It's not registering. And then it turns out I'm using a ballpoint pen. So yeah, now I've actually got my tablet pen. We can go and get started. So today we're going to cover a couple things. I'm going to go over an hour, a little bit more, and go over some of the module stuff. Just for housekeeping, the ENCTR has been like doing phenomenal. We're all like super excited for the things to come and the things that we're building, and everybody's is just working really hard on the protocol, like we have since day one. Everybody's putting in some serious hours to keep this thing afloat and keep it exciting and interesting. And if you are a first time viewer, if you haven't caught one of these before, my name is John. You call me John or JP. I go by either. I'm just the design guy. We started ENCTR way back. Feels like years ago, but yeah, I just kind of do the design stuff. So I work on the user interface for the app. Various designs you'll see all over the place, website, social media, whatever. I just kind of make things look cool. So previously, on the previous sort of like 2 episodes of this is the third one I've done. I showed pretty heavily a lot of the Battlescape stuff and some of the other modules, and I've gone over some videos we've done and things like that. But today I'm going to kind of just talk about the elephant in the room. I've been working on the profile system for ENCTR App, which is in progress right now, which is like really exciting for me because I'm all about personalized experiences and tying things together into one like uniform system. And the profile is the profile system we're working on is going to be pretty necessary for moving forward when we've got multiple modules out there. So so the first thing I'll do is I'm going to go over Battlescape stuff real fast to kind of catch people up to speed on that. Battlescape is the next module we'll be releasing, and we've been working extensively on it. So the last time I showed Battlescape, it was pretty early, like, well, not early so to speak, but a lot of the stuff was still sort of like conceptual, but pretty much all of my work has been handed off for it. And really now it's pretty much working with Peter and the guys on making sure that they've got all the sort of contextual information that they need. And it's pretty much grind mode now on this thing. So so with Battlescape, we have locked in like the API that we know we're going to move forward with, which is really nice because that allowed me to sort of like lock in a lot of the design elements. Battlescape is going to launch with those the top 4 like supported games that we've mentioned, and I sort of came up with the whole filtering system. layouts for the different devices, how the pools are shown, what the map, what the actual like matches themselves are going to look like, and how those are navigated. I do use Yvonne, our CTO. I do use his image sometimes as a placeholder. He'd probably get mad at me if he knew that, but we don't have to tell him. And yeah, so everything has been pretty much been fleshed out for this, and handed over to the guys. And Battlescape is going to be really cool because it's all streamlined. We can pull everything from the Twitch stream for the matches, and lots and lots of info for the matches themselves. Pulling those API requests, like, it's just going to allow us to display a lot of cool info for the matches. All the prediction components are done. All the styling is done. How we're going to organize these matches is done as well. And so it's really just, at this point, it's a when, not an if. So Battlescape is coming along real nicely. And I think that, the next step for us is sort of just getting it to the point where we're ready to release that sort of beta version, and get people in early and figure out how we want to structure that. Aaron's been, Aaron's always the guy with the solid ideas as far as, bringing the community together in interesting ways. And so we're sort of like, considering how we can, open up some access to the modules early around like NFTs, similar to sort of the big push we did for the our pre-sale a while ago. And I mean, that was a whole thing, and look how far we've come. So just keep an eye out for like how we are going to approach opening it up to people. Like, we don't really, like, for me, it's I don't have a workable prototype ready to show you guys, but the fact that we've already sort of handed off everything design wise, and it's just in like production at this time, is like, is really solid. So the filtering itself is going to be really nice too. This whole like log slip concept is something that I sort of came up with, a way to queue wagers at one time and just like run a batch, like run them all under like a single action, and it's responsive across different screen sizes and devices. One thing that's likely going to change is actually this match view here. The way to display like how much people, the total number of wagers and what's being wagered, it can be a little bit more visual, and that's probably going to get an update for me on my side. But the complexity of the real complexity of Battlescape lies in stuff like this. Like, this is all basically just one component, but if you're thinking about, you're going to like an esports site and trying to find a match, like, how do you do that, right? And so I kind of had to look at like the APIs we're using and see what we can and can't access as far as like game information, like who's playing, what time it starts, what tournament does it fall under, what's the structure, how many games, what's the prize pool, what's the status of it, figure out how to organize all that stuff into like almost a chart. And then again, there's the sizing issue of, you're on mobile, you can't display a full row. So like, what are the most important aspects of a match that we can show? Little things like that. Organizing the matches by tournament. And this is kind of just like a look into, I mean, really, this is just a look into, like, this is as transparent as you can get. This is my this is my working file that I send to the guys. So this is like as transparent as I could be as far as development process goes. Stuff for me. Everything is always like documented out, and you've got to account for different states of objects on the screen, like what is clickable, what's not. how is that going to look? The cool thing about Battlescape is Battlescape's going to be like, it's going to be very like visual and like interesting to look at, because I'm not approaching this, we don't approach this like a one of our, earlier like finance modules. This one's a little bit more involved and more, it falls into the sort of like esports category. So it's got to be interesting, and it's got to be a little visually appealing. So everything that's everything in our modules is built out like this. It starts just from a concept, and then it's turning that into workable components, and then taking those components and developing them into something that's usable. So lots of documentation, and this is as painful as it might look, this is probably one of my favorite parts of the design process, is like figuring out how to optimize all this stuff on the screen and get it available to the rest of the guys in a way that's like digestible. Like, how do they even know what's going on or what I'm doing? So that's pretty much Battlescape stuff. Just look out for an update from us relatively soon, as far as ideas on how we're going to open it up early, and or what that will look like. So yeah, Battlescape. Cue the intro. Yeah, I just want to hop back over here, and because I have a lot of thoughts in my head about the profile system and notes that I want to touch on before we jump into that. So my sort of approach to the profile system is, for me, it first started when I was looking across like some other D apps and other projects and things like that, and I was just sort of thinking quite long term. Like I was imagining sort of when we have 3, 4, 5 modules out, we always have lots of sort of like ideas for like progression and customization and like personalization. It can get kind of tricky when you consider that we've got 4 or 5 modules on the roadmap, and those modules are sort of gamified, and they all have their own progression systems within. So it's like, how do we sort of tie all this together? And a profile is just the most obvious way, right? It's everything that you do within the modules is going to ultimately flow down to like one core place. So I guess for the profile, right? Like, it's not like we're not approaching this from like we're not approaching this from like a KYC standpoint. Like the purpose of the profile is not to like, it's not like really we are doing it because we would like to garner more like user data. It's not what it is. It's also not going to be like traditional, like traditional profile systems. It's not going to be like separate from. It's not going to be separate from your wallet. So right now we have like sort of the whole like wallet UI, where like you click the drop down, right, and you can see your wallet balance. To me, the whole concept of the profile should be like, ENCTR App should be sort of the profile. Let's say the profile is the green here, like your profile's here, and then this goes into your wallet, right? So your wallet lives underneath the profile technically, and then maybe you have like one wallet here, and you've got one here, and then you can either like swap between those, or you can maybe you've just got the core wallet, right? And then within that wallet, you can see, right, like your balances, progression, things like that. So for Encounter, like the profile is just a way to give all of this stuff like a little bit more identity. That's the whole sort of purpose of it. And if you've been inside the app, you've probably noticed that we have, in our sidebar, we have a, we have a FOTF section under here, under the sidebar here, if you're in the app. FOTF section. So with Encounter, right? Like the whole approach we're taking is obviously we're wanting to create like these really cool experiences within the protocol itself, but also like figure out ways that we can connect like to other projects. And the connection to those projects isn't just like slapping our name on their website or something. It's a full on like collaboration. So another purpose of the profile, right, is to if we are integrating with these projects, find a way to bring your progression in that project maybe, and then bring that underneath the rest, right? So maybe it's either if it's it's an item that you earn in one of our modules, or if it's maybe something that you own from one of these projects, right? So that's sort of the whole. I don't know why this thing is flying like 80 miles an hour when I click away. So this is sort of the approach to it, and how I sort of like view it in my head. So we can swap over to sort of like a first sort of like look to it. So what's already live, right, is the wallet menu. If you go to ENCTR App, this will probably look a little bit different. This new like sort of balance menu is this is the sort of updated design that we'll be rolling out pretty soon. But this is what you'll see at the moment. Is you'll just see your wallet button with this like toggleable menu. The idea here is that with the addition of the profile, you're going to have the ability to sort of extend that experience with just your wallet. Like, okay, I can see that I've got DAI and USDT. Like, that's great. But the profile is going to sort of open up a bit more. So you'll have your profile. You'll have your sort of like basic details. And that's not going to be something that's super, super extensive off the bat. Again, I should probably preface this by saying that this is like, it's still a work in progress. I do have a working prototype, but it's very much a work in progress. So just consider that. So account details will be super basic, and you probably will not have a password. But we've got Hype Man up here. So I'm logged in as Hype Man, right? And that's the username that I set for myself. So all of your profile stuff is really just going to live under these two tabs, right? Your profile might have, we might be able to display under this My Profile tab. We might be able to display your info and maybe a recent achievement or like a recent something that you've done in another module, right? And then just obviously having your picture displayed. I'm going to be creating like a collection of like really cool like background images that I'll be providing, which I think is super cool. Like being able to like change your cover image. It's just like really small like customization thing that I think people really like, regardless if it's like super early. and then yeah, so profile, account details. We know what that stuff is. Activity is like something that people have expressed pretty openly as wanting to be able to see like recent transactions or things like rebases, rebase events. Hey, what's up, Random? Welcome to the stream, man. And you know, the tricky part is like we aren't like storing we aren't currently like storing tons of user data. So the activity portion itself, I think Luca and Aaron mentioned this in the Discord at one point. Like it'll probably have to be somewhat limited in the sense where like we can only show maybe the most recent transactions, something along those lines. But I think it's important and it's obvious to have some form of transactional history within the app itself. Especially when you think of a module like Battlescape where you're placing wagers, like really those like historical transactions can live under the Battlescape module itself. But I would like to think that it makes more sense to keep it all in one place, right? And be able to access those. And if you do want like a super extensive, full blown transactional history, right? There's already tools out there to do so. But again, it's a work in progress, and the conversations between us and the team will continue on this. And it's still very early, but again, it's this is a exploration for me and figuring out how we can integrate something like a profile system into the app, and create it in a way so that it's like super scalable as well. So it might, just like the finance modules, right? Like this might ship with very like bare bones features, and you might not be able to customize like every single thing. But I think it's important to have, sort of ways to, access stuff early on. See some information at least. It's better than nothing. I think that's always the case. It's better to see something than nothing. But the inventory again is like, so we have Battlescape and Forge coming up. We haven't touched too much on Forge in a good bit, but your ENCTR app inventory is going to be your container for basically like everything within the protocol. So I think it's really important to be able to display those things that you've collected. I think that's fairly obvious. That's a feature that any gamer is like familiar with, is when you collect something, you want to be able to see those, right? Like, and I think it's also, I think what's also cool is being able to, the fact that we are building like all these different experiences across different modules, and we're not really just like focusing in on one. You're going to eventually have like a collection of items, NFTs, collectibles that are all from different sources, and they're sort of intermingled. And you might really like the rewards from one module compared to the other, and you might want to maybe highlight those under profile. That's something that I think is really cool. That's something that I would want to do. I know personally, if I've earned something from like a specific season or a specific milestone that maybe I don't think a lot of people might have, I think that's always cool to highlight, just like on a profile as almost like a trophy case, right? So that's sort of the purpose of the inventory, is going to just be keeping everything that you've collected from ENCTR, like from the protocol, in one place. This access tab is sort of, as we integrate with like more projects, I think it's going to be useful to at least see, maybe if you have like a FOTF NFT or something like that, you might be able to see it in this tab, and it'll just like, the item would just have like maybe some buttons to their site or to their app or to their store or something like that, and then just showing you what you do have access to as a holder, right? Of a holder, or you've integrated with that project, so you can sort of see what you have access to. One thing that's coming pretty soon is the language support. So like that's just the preferences tab will be super basic stuff that you'll be able to adjust. Selecting your language preference. One thing we have to account for is like something like Battlescape and Forge they're most likely going to have some sound design built in. I know people are very like hesitant to sound, especially like in the browser. Unwanted sounds in the browser. So I'm definitely keeping that in mind, and I think all of us are. Like, we don't ever want a module to be in the place where it's just like blowing your ears up with random sound cues or whatever. I think we have like a more tasteful approach to user experience where I think in some cases it is helpful to have a sound cue for those that might have a lot of stuff going on, and they leave their tab open and they don't really know what has changed within the app unless they're physically looking at it or they're tabbing back in and refreshing. But this is really only going to be applicable to down the road. Like, Battlescape is going to have some sound design built in, but the preferences is just a way for you to sort of control that stuff. There's never going to be any kind of implementation of the app where you like don't have control over it. And I think that's what's sort of big in the push with like Web3 identities, is just giving complete control over everything. And, you know, something like things that I'm taking into account, right, is like the profile isn't something that you have to take part in. Like, when you connect your wallet, right? When you connect your wallet to ENCTR App, you have access to it. There's not going to be any kind of like user flow where like you open the app, you connect your wallet, and then you're being like forced to create a profile. The entry point to the app should always be super low. So there's never going to be a point where you have to create a profile, you have to provide a username, you have to provide an image, right? It's just there to open the doors to like more familiar, like sort of gamified achievement type experiences that these people are familiar with. A lot of the people that are going to be coming into ENCTR are sort of from that demographic. And so that's the reason that I would like to get the profile system out, is just because of the fact that I've grown up myself. I've grown up a gamer, and I really enjoy being able to, and I think I could speak for most gamers, is that they enjoy customization, personalization, making something feel like their own, right? And that doesn't always have to include just like harvesting people's data. Thank you, Kafunk. Thank you, man. Appreciate that. Yeah, this is going to just live in the top right. If you for whatever reason like you don't want to make a profile, you don't ever have to interact with that portion, right? You'll just see a default avatar up here like how it is currently, and you don't ever have to interface with that side of things. And so speaking on sort of the customization for your profile itself. One thing that I think is super cool is the whole concept of those sort of limited time like achievements, right? And the most immediate thing I'm thinking of when it comes to customization is being able to provide like titles almost to profiles. So that could even start as simple as Streamlabs. Sorry, Aaron, can you DM whatever that was to me? I don't have a lot of the like auto mod stuff set up, so I might have just like caught something. I didn't see what you posted. Maybe if it was just like emotes or something, then I just want to make sure that it didn't auto mod something out that it shouldn't have. But yeah, so the titles, I think like the most immediate and sort of like the first priority feature of titles would just be like carrying over our Discord roles, right? Something as simple as that. being able to display if you're just a holder, or maybe you're coming from their project, like you're an FOTF holder. Just super simple titles that are, again, just tied to your profile, being able to display those. Now, obviously, with customization, right? Like there comes the question of, like, why am I customizing this stuff? Like, whoa, is it just me looking at this? The sort of the whole thing with the profile system is eventually when you get to something like Battlescape, when you look at a module like Battlescape, we're looking at ways for incorporating like a wallet-to-wallet chat with Battlescape and creating that social connection within the module itself. There's lots of those wallet-to-wallet sort of like chat features that are being developed, and I've seen some of them like in action. They're pretty cool. I think when you introduce any kind of social element like that, and you look at our modules and the features that we're trying to push for, there is that social element. So in my mind, and I think the rest of the guys' mind, I think it's fairly obvious that you should be able to say if you're in Battlescape and you click on somebody's username, right, it'll take you to their profile. I think that's fairly obvious. But again, like a lot of the decentralized identity stuff in Web3 is fairly new, so there's always new stuff coming out, and it's really just we know what approach we want to take, but there might just be maybe there's this tool that exists and we want to utilize that, or maybe this isn't the right approach. But in general, I mean, I think that if you're talking about creating fun like personalization for a profile, really you should be able to see others' profiles, and then include the ability for you to hide your own if you don't want to be seen for whatever reason, things like that. And then again, talking about Forge, right? What is Forge always been for us? Forge has always been a way for us to track progression within the protocol. So what I'm sort of thinking is with the profile itself, your Forge level will be sort of the top level progressional level that people will be able to see and that you'll be able to see. So this would likely live at the top of the profile, and push Forge as the primary like point of progression. Display that. Incorporate that into the high level design of the profile, make Forge really interesting and something that you want to sort of chase after, and there's a lot of really cool stuff we could do with it. And my focus is just not going too crazy with it where it no longer feels like a profile, and then figuring out like how to sort of I guess how it's going to play out, right? Because with something like Battlescape, will you be able to click on someone's profile and view their collectibles and things they've achieved, and then comes the question of laying out all the possible like titles you might be able to collect. When Forge comes out, like can we reward people for things they did in Battlescape, even though Forge is now yet, right? And then again, I think it would be super cool to tie in the Discord role somehow. So again, it's just going to live up at the top right, the same way you'd view your wallet, and this will just allow you to quick swap to different things. If you are somewhere else in the app, there's probably a couple more things that are going to need to be added to this menu, and probably something not probably, it's going to be there for the first version, is just sort of like a nice like onboarding for the profile, just steps to allow you to like, hey, here's how this works. Upload your image or connect your NFT or whatnot. Now choose a username, set your preferences, and then you're good to go. I'm mute for a second so I can chug water. My mouth is dying. Okay. Yeah, and then just to cover I skipped over the wallet thing towards the beginning, but an update that's the update I worked on for the wallet card is we had a lot of questions about with some really good questions about how the wrapping works and how to sort of see like the value within. So ENCTR is both wrapped and staked, right? So it's because the total like amount of your ENCTR is not going to increase every rebase, but the value inside of it is. We have a good document on that in our docs on counter.gg. We have a section on the whole like wrapping concept, but because of that, it's hard to like tell how much you have inside of there unless you like unstaked it or unwrapped it. So you're going to see this sort of like new icon in a couple different places around the app. That's basically just showing you how much your ENCTR is worth, right? If you did happen to unstake it or unwrap it, this is how much you have like sort of contained within. So that'll be coming to the wallet menu, and nothing else will change. We do have. I'm going to add in like the USDT portion underneath where your stablecoins are shown. There'll be like a nice separator here so you can tell the difference first glance. Because I don't know if we mentioned this, but USDT is going to be the Battlescape is gonna work off of just wagering with stablecoins, and USDT is like the first one that we're targeting for like Battlescape compatibility. All of the total pools will be done in stablecoins. So, and I think that's something that needs to be clarified or expanded upon in our documents. Is like in our Gitbook is that initially, I think we mentioned that Battlescape is going to be using the ENCTR token, but that's not the case. I've gotten a couple questions about that. Battlescape is gonna just primarily work off of stablecoins. So showing your stablecoin balances in there is important. What else am I missing? Let's see. Let me make sure. Yeah, if you guys have any questions, just drop them in the chat. Let me see if this is ready to go. But yeah, the protocol has been doing really, really well. The project has been doing really, really well. We're continuing to build, and I just think it's incredible, like how far we've come since launch, and just the amount of like activity and support and interest in the project is the reason. It's why we do this stuff. So let's see. Aaron's look at his dives. Yeah. So um, I think at this point we could very easily like open up um, Battlescape with either either it's we use DAI instead of USDT, or we open it up for multiple, like a way to sort of incorporate multiple stable coins into a pool. Um, and I'll actually I'll ask Luca about that, because that's probably a better approach. But I think I think that's something we could easily just switch to DAI. It's um, it is going to be used more closely with the protocol, and it's definitely an obvious choice. Yeah, especially if people are going to have DAI left over, that's true as well. Yeah, I'm going to make a note of that. Yeah, I think really it comes down to just picking. I think it makes most sense to just pick one. Um, because we're not with Battlescape, like we don't have our hands sort of on anything. Like we aren't determining. Like we don't act as the house for Battlescape. We don't like hold people's deposits or anything like that. We're just like providing the platform and the contract. The contract does everything, and we're not really um, touching anything. So I personally, I think it makes the most sense to just use DAI, um, and not consider like having multiple options as far as like DAI or USDT, because then you run into the issue of um, the gene count rounds. Yep. USDC has a better on-ramp solution. I see. I see. Yeah. So your gene counter balance is going to be like sort of realized by this icon, and then this icon, say if you look at let's say we go to the staking screen, for instance. Um, we have um, a balance amount shown here to the right, where like it shows if you were unstaking or unwrapping your gene counter, it shows the balance. We can just display that as just pull the same number and then just use another instance of that icon itself. Gunnick says, "I'd like to see USDC." Um, convert it up to L2, purchase there. Yeah. Whatever is like I can see benefits to both. Um, because we're totally going to be dealing with like two different like streams of users, like people from the protocol and people coming outside. People outside the protocol might think it's more easily done with USDC, but there might, we're gonna have a lot of holders that are holding on to DAI, and it's like, okay, well, why can't I just tab over to Battlescape? I'm in the same place, right? I'm in ENCTR App. I can see my DAI. Why can't I just like tab over to Battlescape and then like use whatever remaining DAI I have left over? Yeah, yeah. So you need to create a pool of USDC, USD, and DAI to pay out on the conversion through the smart contract. Again, that's also a really good idea. It's not even a question of if it's challenging in the UI because it's just swapping out the icon. All the layouts will stay the same. Should be relatively easy to integrate considering they are stablecoins. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I'm gonna get with I still need to get with Luca on some of the profile and Battlescape stuff, but I would like to maybe talk to Yvonne too. Take a look at like contract, figure out what the best option would be. Create a pool. Yeah, 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 yeah. Although I don't see what. Can we get a closer look at the actual 3D object and what old sign up site we did? Yeah, we can do that. We can absolutely do that. All right. Give me 1 second and I'm going to switch over to we're going to travel back in time. Okay, here we go. Let me switch over to the scene. It's a really big file, so it's taking a second to open. Boom, boom. Will there be any content or tutorials for gamers not into Web3 crypto yet? Yeah, I think that's always a I think that's always it's we always have like very like open conversation about that about the team. Yeah, like Battlescape is gonna Battlescape will launch with a sort of full like onboarding process. Um, we definitely are not going to just like sort of open it up and throw people in there without at least providing them the option to like see exactly how it works. This dimension. Learning curve saying while getting funds on chain. Yeah, it can, especially when there's. I think it can get especially tricky when there's not like one way to go about like loading up your wallet, right? There's like so many different options out there. Um, I definitely think that the trick is to just like um, making sure to also explain like the core concepts at the same time. Like, you know, what's the difference between setting up, getting funds from here or here, or what are the differences? Um, can definitely be tricky. Here she is. Okay, I found her. Nice. Okay. Switch over my scene here. Let's go to dimension. Did that work? Yes, it did. Okay, perfect. Let's bring this lighting down. Yeah, so this was the first like NFT collection we ever put out. Let's bring the environment down a tiny bit. A bit easier to see. I just love the shit out of this design. Let's see what Gunnar was saying. Skimmers have tech understanding. Yeah, yeah. And again, like right, it's like the bridge between both. It's like how do you bring people into the Web3 options without scaring them off? If you know they're interested in the gaming side. Um, it's definitely tricky to bring people into the other side and just like present it in a way where it's like, okay, this is something I want or need. So I'm just yeah. I mean, I'm absolutely in love with this NFT design we first launched. Um, when we were doing stuff with the before the actual like launch of ENCTR, um, just giving people that sort of ability to get in early with a collectible, right? And so one of the things we're considering is opening this back up, maybe giving it a bit of maybe giving it a bit of polish or figure out how we can open the doors to some of the early access to modules and utilize really just really come up with a good way to start streamlining like the sort of like encounter paths. Like if people want to be able to access these things with exclusivity, and people like to be early and support sort of the initial concepts of things, like how can we get them on board with that? And so we're definitely thinking about ways um, to bring this sucker back. And um, let me pull up a couple of the renders that I did as well. I should have, let's see, where are they? Yeah, these are killer, man. Okay. Oh, let me pull up the page as well. Streaming is hard, man. All these scenes and all these, take it for granted. You take it for granted. Okay. Yes, it still works. Me and man, Aaron and I, actually, I won't even say that. Nah, this wasn't even hard. We did this easy, no problem. This is probably one of the easiest things we've ever put together, to be honest. This page for the NFT. So super easy. I wish a robot could just like swap my displays for me. Yeah, so this was like the web page we opened up when we first launched the NFT, and I think like I think just like this is the kind of stuff that is just awesome. Like when you get it right. Oh man, yeah. So really, it's this into when we released it it's just like, okay, let's sort of take everything from the protocol in itself, make something that looks really, really sick. And I think it's definitely a good idea to look at reopening and using it as an early sort of access. Sorry, I'm getting hypnotized by the spin, which also the spin, which also took us like 2 hours to get right. What were those two? Oh, there was like a new unit of there's like units of measurement that we learned as well, trying to get this thing. It was like the speed. I'm trying to remember what those two units were. It was like the speed at which a light orbits or something like that. I can't remember the rate at which a light rotates. I can't remember off the top of my head. But yeah, we had this page. We had this page opened for a good bit, and the speed at which a light, or yes, that's what it was. Yeah. Oh man. Let me pull up some of the actual like, collection images we released too. Oh, you guys can just see it. Okay, sweet. Um, yeah, we just this is a lot of the sort of just like exports we did with the NFT itself. This is the graphic that everybody went crazy over. There's a couple more. Let's say there's a couple of the let's see, where are they hiding? Yeah, we've got a couple of the staged close-ups and things like that. This one I really like. I really like how that one turned out. Yeah, I mean, scale-wise, like my approach to this was I just wanted like I wanted it to be almost come off as like as far as scale goes, like I wanted it to seem like something you could just like hold in your hand, maybe like a iPod Touch. Okay, now my age is showing. The iPod Touch, what's that? Um just something small enough, like you just like any other like sort of access card out there, entry card. Here's a left view render of it, which I really liked as well. I actually used this for I used this one for the graphic. And now I gotta see if or when we bring this sucker back. Aaron's been in the he's been getting real deep into the Blender stuff. So I'm sure he's got some stuff up his sleeve now as far as getting this thing into motion. Because I mean, I can pose and model stuff all day, but motion, rigging, skeletons, bones, that's the real rocket science. Yeah, I can think of one element on this that we could put into motion. I can think of one. Actually, I can think of two. I really also like I like I like the protocol. I'm like leaking my Steam friends, whatever. Um, I like the protocol image that we use. I found a really interesting way to do this in Figma with like using like combining like rings and arcs. Um, let's see. Let me swap back to my engine. Yeah, there's a lot of elements on here that we can. expand upon as well, as far as actual just look goes. I really, really dig the decal approach to it as well. And there is some, I did put some like really, really subtle lights towards the bottom, but I definitely didn't want it to get to the point where like it was just like this massive glowing thing, and then the sort of more intricate details were obscured by that. Just a piece of the protocol contained within each one. That was the founding idea of this. You might be wondering what is this in the center? Well, if you go over to our Discord and you check out our ECP channel, you can find the latest on the protocol activity. That's all that I have. So again, like this one, I do, I want to continue with these as every 2 weeks. I did have to push this one a week back because I had a birthday last week. But I do want to do these every 2 weeks. And set up a structure to them so we can sort of catch up on what we talked about last time and then the progress on the other items. That's my plan. That's my plan for the design dives. And what I didn't know, and luckily I saved the VOD locally, but what I didn't know is that unless you're a partner, Twitch deletes your VODs after 14 days. So this one and the previous one will both be uploaded to the channel. I feel like that deletion window should be very, very obvious on their site, but you can't find it anywhere. At least not that I saw that they remove them unless you're a partner. Again, it makes sense, but yeah, this entire VOD and the previous one will be uploaded. I also have the VOD for the first one, and that one should have gone up, but I think that I wanted to add sort of like a prefix to that first one or trim it down. But you know, we'll get more structured as we go along with these. So I'll just go off on a limb and say that the next one will be on the 20th, August 20th. What I would like to do for the next one is go over the actual prototype for Battlescape and get that a little bit more realized to everybody so they can see what the flow is like and what it's going to be like using that module. Get the prototype for Battlescape working and pretty much until it's ready to go, pretty much close the doors on that and focus more on the first iteration of Forge. by that point, we might have some more information on what we're going to do with the NFT early access. The profile system is going to be more fleshed out. And we can sort of explore stuff with that. And I think it's also good to, I think it's also going to be good to revisit Arsenal as well. People have been waiting on Arsenal stuff for a really long time. My time for the past couple weeks has been just super heavy on getting Battlescape in a point where it's like good to hand off. I think a lot of people are ready to see more Arsenal stuff. So that's another point of interest that I can cover on the next one. And then revisit some of like the old screens for Arsenal and what has changed, what hasn't changed. We've definitely had some ideas for Arsenal that have evolved since I last covered it, which was in a blog post actually. The core concept is still gonna be the same, but it's there's some stuff that as far as like, because with the profile system, there's gonna be some stuff that carries over, and then also kind of give the latest on our approach to the how you're actually going to get access to that. We've talked about it before, but I'd like to visualize it a bit and put that into perspective. Arsenal is going to be absolutely crazy. I mean, it's obvious it's the most anticipated module from everybody. It's going to be wicked. I personally would like to get some visuals out for how the pass is going to function, and what that's going to look like, and paint a picture for stuff like the rewards and there is a good amount of work we still have to do on Arsenal, as far as the real technical stuff, like how long are the seasons going to go, and what's the reward structure, and how does the access pass work. So I think I'll end it on that. And just to recap, the showed a bit of the profile, gave my thoughts on that. Showed a bit about Battlescape. Battlescape is coming along beautifully. The profile system is going to live right next to your wallet. It's not in the app at the moment. This is sort of my staging area for when I create stuff. You're not going to see this in there just yet, but it is on the way, and we're working on tons of different stuff across the protocol right now. So be sure to keep an eye out on our Discord, and you can find us on all the different socials. Our content, I'm not gonna I'm not gonna like go out on a limb and promise anything, but I think our content is gonna get really, really cool as well pretty soon. Just working out some different stuff as far as video content, things like that. Lots of stuff in the works for that. Everybody's working their asses off on ENCTR. This is just kind of my space to come in and show what I'm working on, and that's the goal of each of these. I'm gonna hang out. I'm gonna hang out in the chat for a couple more minutes after I end the stream, and if you guys have any other questions, you can drop in there or just shoot me a message on Discord. If you came in late, this whole thing's gonna be uploaded to YouTube. I've got the past broadcast turned on, so you can catch the VOD in there as well. And yeah, Design dives are always I always look forward to these. And the next one is going to be on the 20th, August 20th will be the next one. So looking forward to that. I'll see all you guys, talk with all you guys in the Discord in between, obviously. Enjoy your weekend. Stay safe. Make good decisions, relatively good decisions. But yeah, enjoy your Saturday, and I will see you guys later.